excuse me, 2.3. All right, we are going to now work with trig values of all angles. Okay, whoops, that's not supposed to be a T. So for example, we are in a few minutes going to figure out what the sine of 240 degrees is. Okay. We can't use a right triangle because obviously our angle isn't even involved in a triangle. Okay, so we're going to talk about some vocabulary. We're not going to do a problem like that just yet. We are going to, we're going to do a problem. If you care, it's on page 153. All right, so we want to find the value of all 6 trig functions. For the angle whose terminal side passes through the given point. For the angle whose terminal side passes through. Give me a point, any point, I don't care. Not on an axis, not in the first quadrant.
Negative 2, 1.
Negative 2, 3. Okay, so we're going to plot our point, negative 2, 3. Okay, so here's our point. The terminal side of our angle passes through that point. So terminal means where it's going to end. We're always going to start on the positive x-axis, so we're going to rotate that way. You know, we can call this our theta angle. Okay, so we basically want to figure out the sine, cosine, tangent, secant, cosecant, cotangent of that angle. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to utilize the angle, the triangle, the right triangle that we can create with the x-axis. So we're always going to be, just like I wrote on the board on Friday, we're always going to be making triangles to the x-axis. So we're going to drop our perpendicular, sometimes if we're in the third or fourth quadrant, we'll draw it up. Drop a perpendicular to the x-axis. This angle here is actually called our reference angle. Some of your problems are going to be find the reference angle for, actually we can just kind of deal with just that and think about 240 degrees. Okay, so in this case we actually had a point that the ray went through. We don't know anything about the angle. We're actually not going to find the angle. This one we do know the angle. Is another kind of problem that you're going to be doing today. 240 degrees. If we were going to draw 240 degrees, it's positive, so we are going to rotate that way. 180. This right here, what's down here in terms of degrees?
270.
270. So we're not going to go that far. We're going to go in the middle of the third quadrant. We're going to draw our ray. So that right there is 240 degrees, but what we're going to do to figure out the sine is we need a right triangle, and we're going to draw our perpendicular up to the x-axis. Okay, first and second quadrant, we drop it down to the x, third and fourth quadrant, we're going to draw it up, and now we're going to utilize this triangle as a guide to figure out the sine of 240. In fact, this angle right here is the reference angle. We can actually figure out what that angle is. So if this is 240 degrees, what's what's your reference angle? Or how would you figure it out?
240 minus 180.
240 minus 180. So it's just the difference between 240 and 180. And if you subtract, you get 60. So some of your problems are going to be just that. Figure out what the reference angle is. So you draw your angle. If it's in radians, then we can, oh, that would be good. So next problem we'll do in radians. Okay, so we'll come up to this. Here I've got so much stuff. Let's just redraw this. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. We're up here. Okay, so we've dropped our perpendicular down. We've created a right triangle. Okay, this is 2. This is 3. If I just had that be positive 2, then what's the difference between this and what we were doing in the previous section where we just had a plain right triangle? There is no difference, except now it's like flipped over the mirror image. So what we're going to make sure we do is the negativeness of the x-axis is going to be super important. Okay? So some trig functions, angles like, if this was like 120 degrees, some of the trig ratios are going to be negative. Okay? Some of them are not. Some of them are going to be positive. So how we're going to be able to figure out whether it's positive or negative, if you want to do it the book's way, you can. Here, you just, wherever you're drawing, if you're on the negative part of the x, you're going to label the side as a -2. Or on the positive part of the y, we're going to label it as 3. Is everybody okay where I got 2 and 3 from the x and y coordinate of the point? Okay, Pythag it up. Why don't you take a minute to do that? We're going to do Pythagorean theorem and figure out our hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is always positive, so we are never going to have negative. Now we're allowed to have our x or our y leg of the right triangle be positive or negative, but this is always positive. Okay, so let's see. 4, 9, so you guys get the square root of 13?
Yep.
Okay, so we're at the square root of 13. So, why don't you guys take a minute? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. All right, I'll check you. All right, you guys do sine, you guys do cosine, you guys do tangent. Here, you guys do cosecant, secant, I'll do cotangent. So, for that angle, figure out the trig ratio you were supposed to do, and if you don't know which one you were supposed to do, just pick one. I don't care.